Big news stateside from the Ginger Windsor, Prince Harry. Brace yourselves for not one, but 4 books from the world's least happy millionaire. If his appearance on that non-interview with Oprah Winfrey is anything to go by, these books will be a work of fiction that will rival that of Charles Dickens. This decision to spill the beans about his life and his family is 50 shades of madness. The publishers will have great expectations for this navel-gazing tome, but it will be much ado about nothing. And the only award it will win is one for stunning hypocrisy. I can think of a few million reasons why he has signed this book deal, but this sudden affection for the typewriter will come at a hefty price. It will mark the final chapter of his relationship with his family and with his country. There's no way that his brother William, the epitome of royal dignity in public service, will forgive yet another tell-all exposé of his family. And there's no way the British public will forgive this self-serving brat for denigrating our royal family, who are the moral, historic and constitutional backbone of the country. In particular, how must the Queen be feeling right now, as she has to brace herself for 4 volumes of this rubbish? What's most offensive is that it's rumoured the 2nd volume will not be released until after her passing. Still recovering from the loss of her beloved husband Philip, she's now got to contend with the threat of lurid revelations emerging after she's gone, which could damage or even end the great institution to which she has devoted her life. And of course, you can't have it both ways. Harry went to America in search of freedom and privacy, but has barely been out of the papers since he left. Whether it's a podcast, a TV interview, or now a 4-volume book collection, the Hollywood wing of the royal family have a nasty habit of saying one thing and doing quite another. If he doesn't like the burdens of royal status, why does he hang on to his title of HRH with a vice-like grip? Because without it, there is no Netflix deal. There is no Spotify deal, no book deal. The House of Windsor face a mortal threat from these endless attacks, and the reputation of this country is being damaged too. Dignified silence isn't working, so it's time for the royal authorities to turn the page and write one of the main characters out of the story. This scorched earth policy towards the royal family shows no sign of ending, which is why the Queen herself must act decisively. It's time for Harry to lose his titles. Throw the book at him, Mom. Meanwhile, it's 2 years since Boris Johnson became Prime Minister, a job he has craved all of his adult life. He wanted, didn't he, to be world king as a child. Unfortunately for Boris Johnson, becoming Prime Minister came at the worst moment in recent political history. Arguably, only his hero Churchill faced worse privations. But there are positives. His election victory in December 2019 neutralised the terrifying threat of Jeremy Corbyn entering number 10. And the surprise landslide result restored faith in our democracy by getting Brexit done. The Prime Minister achieved a comprehensive, tariff-free, quota-free trade deal with the EU. And that wretched backstop, which they said would never go, is now nothing more than a distant memory. The deal is not perfect, of course not, and the Northern Ireland Protocol and that invisible border down the Irish Sea which divides our country must go, and it will go. But love him or hate him, Boris Johnson is the man that unlocked the potential of global Britain and ended the post-referendum purgatory in which we were all trapped. However, the pandemic is another story. It's hugely disappointing that this so-called libertarian Prime Minister has presided over the decimation of our economy and a sustained assault on our liberties and freedoms. At times, I've wondered what he's actually there for and why he bothers inhabiting that expensively wallpapered flat at number 10, given the fact that it's Sage, not him, that have been running the country. We know he doesn't agree with lockdowns, but he did them anyway. And the idea that on his watch the government are still serious about rolling out those divisive vaccine passports is unforgivable. There's no point having libertarian values, Boris, if you don't lead by them. But. You cannot underestimate the colossal political pressure that the Prime Minister is under, not just from the opposition, but from civil servants and fellow ministers, and of course, the sage scientists. And the sage scientists, their favourite hobby, is terrifying him with apocalyptic modelling, which is all too often plain wrong. Don't forget, it was Professor Neil Ferguson's now discredited prediction that 500,000 people would die that caused the Prime Minister to change course and lock us down. A decision, in my view, we will forever regret. But the 19th of July, so-called Freedom Day, provides a chink of light and evidence that there is still hope when it comes to Boris Johnson. Everyone and their auntie wanted him to cancel Freedom Day, and yes, he's fudged it horribly, asking businesses to enforce the COVID measures. But crucially, masks, distancing and other controls are no longer enshrined in law. That took political courage, and I hope this will be the shape of things to come. Emboldened by a sensible new Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, the Prime Minister now needs to assemble a coalition of the willing. After the election in 2019, he filled his cabinet with Brexiteers and he got Brexit done. He must now surround himself by like-minded ministers who can stand up to Sage and set about the greatest challenge that has faced a Prime Minister in decades, which is to get this country on a path to recovery, to move on from the pandemic and to live with this virus. So it's been a patchy 2 years for the Prime Minister, a mixed bag, if you like, a game of two halves. But Boris can still score. He likes scoring. The Prime Minister now has a chance to lead this country not into the new normal, but back on a proper route to the old one. If he does that, he can tell the missus to order some new wallpaper, because he'll be at number 10 for a long time to come. This is GB News.